Hello and welcome guys to myfinancesteacher.org. In this video I'm going to look at Kirkland Lake Gold as recommended by one of the viewers in the comments. Thanks for the recommendation. I enjoyed looking at this company and we'll do more of these gold and silver mining company valuations. And in the near future I'm going to put these behind the paywall on my website. So visit myfinancesteacher.org and stay tuned. For now though, looking at Kirkland Lake, the way I look at resource companies is I basically look at the value of the reserve that the company has per share and compare that to the current market price of the share. Looking at the value, I take into account several factors: the gold price, the amount of reserves that the company has. Of course, it'll take some costs to extract those reserves. The company might have some long-term debt that subtracts from its value. And of course, we'll look at shares, both number of shares outstanding as well as insider shares, because the larger the percentage of insider shares, the more stake the insiders, the managers of the company, actually have in the success of the business. Additionally, presumably those insider shares might be long-term holders, so this subtracts some number of shares from the general float, reducing the liquidity and maybe supporting the share price. In this video, I also want to look at the current state in the valuation of Kirkland Lake with what happened in early 2016 when we had another really nice rally in gold price. That's the intro to what we're going to do, and let's actually look at Kirkland Lake. I'm going to have two approaches here, one conservative and one optimistic. With the conservative, we're going to take a gold price of, let's say, $14.50. We're only going to look at proven and probable reserves of 5.75 million of an ounce of gold. Production costs, all-in sustaining costs, according to their latest report, that's Q2 report, is $638 per ounce. The company doesn't have any long-term debt. That's really good. The number of shares outstanding is over 210 million shares. But the nice thing is there are a lot of insider shares. More than 10% of the shares belong to the insiders. So that, as I mentioned before, means that the managers are confident in the success of the company and actually put their own money behind it. I actually really like seeing these high numbers in insider shares. So taking all of that into account, in a conservative valuation we have something like $23 per share, which doesn't really compare favorably to the current market price of $46. So at least according to the conservative estimate, looks like current market price is overvalued. It's 100% higher compared to the conservative valuation. Of course, there are other factors to take into account, like reserves can actually expand in future, gold price might increase as well, and we will look at that in the optimistic view. But for now, this is what we have. According to the conservative view, share price should be around $23, whereas it is at about $46 right now. So as I mentioned, overvaluation is double at the moment. Let's see how does it compare to the situation in early 2016 when the gold price was, let's say, $1,300. The company had 2.3 million ounces in reserves. The cost of production were quite high at about $900 per ounce. The company had long-term debt of nearly 79 million, but the number of shares outstanding was much lower as well, 119 million shares or so. I assumed that insider shares were still around 10%. I didn't actually find that number for early 2016. These numbers would give us a valuation of around $8.54. And that actually compares really favorably to the market price at that time of around $6. So the company was actually undervalued. It was a really good buy at that time. And the things that have improved since early 2016 is that the company has much more reserves at the moment. All-in sustaining costs are much lower as well. And the company has no debt. That's really good. But number of shares outstanding has actually nearly doubled. And the market price has increased more than 7-fold. So there are really good developments with the company since early 2016, but it might be that the market price overreacted for now, and we might see a correction over the next several months. But this is according to the conservative view. Actually, according to the optimistic view, we don't see any overvaluation. In the optimistic view, let's take the price of gold of 1550. Let's say that's the target that the gold price is going towards. There's actually a strong resistance at around that level. Stay tuned for one of the next videos on gold price. So we're going to take this number into our optimistic view. Looking at the reserves, the company also has the resources that it's exploring in more details. And let's say we're going to add half of those resources into the reserves. That would give us around 9.4 million ounces of gold in reserves. The production costs, let's decrease them to around $600 because that's actually the all-in sustaining cost that the company had in late 2018. It's only in 2019 that for some reason production costs have increased. Let's say the company goes back to that number of $600 per ounce. We'll keep long-term debt at zero. That's pretty good. We'll keep the number of shares outstanding at where they are and insider shares at the same numbers as well. All of that would give us an optimistic valuation of around $46.9 per share, which is pretty close to the current market price of 46.03. So there is no overvaluation according to the optimistic view, but is that a really good buy at the moment? I'm not really sure about that. Let me know in the comments below. Maybe I've missed something about the company. I would really like to know your opinion about Kirkland Lake. Maybe there are some other companies to look at. Let's do that together. So throw in your suggestions and opinions in the comments below. Remember to hit that like button. I would appreciate that as I try to give as much value as I can to you guys in these videos. Hit that bell notification so you stay tuned. And of course, good luck in your trades.